all the people who want to.
Chips and seed.
My computer does not like this wireless network, and that's okay. But I won't be able to log into the app, which is fine.
All right. Well,
I'm going to be taking notes and clacking over here anyway, so.
well, depending how robust the microphone is, you know, let's see.
Sure.
What we can pick up. And if Daniel's, Lyle's, and mine picks up, I can like shift my computer.
Sure, that's fine.
All right, I'm going to ever so briefly tweet this so you can get the link, and then I'm going to delete the tweet.
So we should. So I'll go. So we should go to Twitter.
Yeah, just give me a sec to.
Okay.
Well, I've accepted.
All right, well then you should be
You
there.
got yours. Good.
Yeah, but I
can
don't
do
see
this on my
anything.
phone. Now there's an idea.
I do not see anything.
What's your
on the
Twitter
screen.
handle?
Lathrop D, L-A-T-H-R-O-P-D.
Here you go. I'm in the house.
I'm going to try this. I'm on my phone. Whoops.
I got 0 viewers.
I just liked it. Sorry. No control of myself. I heard it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just awkward. Okay.
Got my little
I
controller.
see you. I see your face, Daniel.
Excellent. Well, there we go.
Daniel, are you smart enough to help me get this on my phone? I can just go like this, you know, and
I don't know. I think you have to have the Google Hangouts app on your phone.
I can do that. Don't delete your tweet quite yet.
Okay. Let's see. So.
A little delay.
Okay. So we'll have to.
Wow.
There we go. I've got one.
So I can see you on it, but I'm not in it. The
Mm,
meeting yet.
There's Daniel.
I'm not in the hangout.
There's Lyle. You can see me, but I can't see you. Are you logged in?
Okay, let's see.
Got 2 viewers. Let's see.
So you have Lyle and who else?
I don't know. Me, I guess.
So I was thinking that, Lyle, did you get an invite to your Gmail account? Is that how you logged on?
No, it's, I got an invite to my IowaWatch.org account. That's what,
On Hangouts?
Yeah, that's what I use.
You should get a click. You should get a click to your thing. Okay, I've got somebody else. It says 3.
Because when we did the Hangouts before, I got an invite through Gmail and I just clicked on the link there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that should work if you send it to your Gmail account.
Ooh, I see it.
Okay. So right now I have
Okay, I see Andy and Steve on there.
good.
That's good. Getting closer.
Yeah.
So you see others?
You saw their names.
So everybody, if we only want one mic on in the room, or we'll get terrible feedback. So
Right.
everybody who's Aaron, tell everybody who's on there that they need to click their camera on, which should be in the middle of the screen.
Well, I don't even know if I'm on there and can tell them that yet. So there, if you click that other tab, it takes you to your invitation.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So go to invitation.
Okay. We just do whatever, yeah, in January. That's good. That's fine.
Here's an event. Got it. Click to join.
Yay!
Wow, that was harder than it needs to be.
I've got the app. Can you help me now?
Yeah, and then you just join.
Are you in?
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna
There you
It's right here.
I'm gonna send a message down.
It says you're just delayed.
The colors are so vivid.
So I should tell people to,
Hold on. Okay.
There's Andy.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Andy.
Okay, good. So yeah, what I had to do was close the initial link. I had initially gotten in through the invitation from Daniel, and I could see you guys and hear you, but you couldn't see or hear me. So I had to close that and then open it back up and instead click into the invitation that appeared on the right part of my screen, the invitation to join a Hangout, once I opened up the Hangout window. If that makes sense. Like closed the initial invitation thing was like letting me view an event, but not letting me participate. If that makes sense.
Okay.
That's probably where the other guys are stuck, because I've been seeing messages from all of them saying that they can see and hear us, see and hear you guys, but not join.
So Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Aaron.
Okay.
Okay, what instructions
Should we get to Jim and Steve?
If it works like it did for me, what I did was I closed. I'd initially accessed by this conversation by clicking an invitation from Daniel, but that seemed to be like letting me into an event. So I closed that, and then once again opened up the invitation. But there's a small invitation to join a hangout.
Only,
Out of the screen.
that only one person has their mic on.
Okay, I'll turn mine off.
Okay.
So basically, on the right side of the screen, if it's like mine, they'll see there's a vertical column there of invites, and there was one there that said, invitation from Daniel. Tried to video call you is what it says. That's the one to click that let me in to join the conversation.
So basically, if they can't see and you're
Okay, who all has mic?
So what we're getting is
Who all has a mic on right now?
we're getting feedback from people who are hearing us at the other end, and it's coming back to us. So that feedback is off of, say, Andy's speaker.
so people need to mute when they're not talking.
Just a sec, I can.
Yeah.
do that.
So how's it sound now? How's it sound at your end, Andy? I feel like I'm missing the white end. So audio from me is going to Andy's speaker, which is going into his microphone, coming back to my speaker, which is going back to his speaker, which is coming back to my speaker, and we're going back and forth with the audio.
Yes, I can hear Lyle.
All right. Yeah, we're getting feedback between. Let me try that.
Yeah, there is a lot of feedback.
All right. So let's see.
So what's going on here is I've got the audio cranked up so that people can hear it in the room, and my voice is going into your mic, which is coming back to my speaker, which is then going back. Oh, we do? We're still getting the delayed feedback.
I could try to turn on Bluetooth.
Oh, you have your volume on? It's going to be echoing.
It says on my computer it's mute.
Yeah, but you need your volume on too. So the phone is muted, but if your speakers are going, you're still going to get feedback.
So you've got us on your headsets, Andy. Is this helping?
Yeah, I can hear you fine right now, even before I've activated the headset. But
okay. So we must have had something here. Got it.
I'll go ahead and do this too. That way there won't be any reverberation for mine.
All right.
Okay. All right, well, I don't know for sure if Mary, Jim, and Steve are on. Do we see them?
5 viewers.
I've seen them typing comments saying that they can hear the conversation, but they obviously can't participate yet.
I see something say the video call ended because connection was lost, but that just might be my computer. As long as Lyle's on, we could just keep, as long as you two are on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But I should make sure that those two are, or that those three are. Yes, Jim says he can see and hear. just trying to figure out how to enable his camera, but at least he can see and hear. So,
Okay, there should be, if you're in the event thing, there should be a thing. Screen shares. Okay.
what are you waiting for something in particular, Daniel?
I was trying to show everybody, if they're on the event page, how to connect. I don't think it's working. Can people see my screen? No, no.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody right here, you should see something if you're on the event screen. If you're in the IowaWatch board meeting, you should see something that looks like that.
Well, the people who need it may not be on to see that screen, right?
It should be if they clicked on the link.
Oh, okay.
So
Jim says good. I just haven't heard from Steve or Mary. Oh, Mary says there's no other option than to hit the arrow to play.
Try the, okay. Because I can't see your screen. So there should be, like Andy said, there should be a set of stuff on the right.
I'm just going to call her.
Okay.
Yeah, there should be a vertical column that says invites. And if you could click the one there that says Daniel tried to video call you. Good work.
All right, well, I'm going to call Mary here as soon as she lets me know what number to call her at. But I think we probably should call the meeting to order here. And I'll be trying to get Steve on as soon as we get through these first two items. So I'm going to call the meeting of IowaWatch to order. Thanks for coming. Thanks for putting up with our technology issues here. I think the end result, maybe not at this meeting, but sometime in the future, will be to have better participation from our remote sites so they can see and hear what we're doing. I hope you all have taken time to read Lisa's minutes from our December 7th meeting. I sent out on Friday. Does anyone have any changes or recommended, any errors you saw or things that you need to change from those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the meetings from December 7th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Great. Those are approved. Okay, so we will move on to the director's report. Lots of cool stuff to talk about. Take it away, Lyle.
Excuse me. The Ethics and Excellence in Journalism Foundation grant went through, and so we were pleased for that. I never take it for granted, and especially didn't this year, because this is the 5th year, and that's pretty remarkable show of support, I think, from the foundation. The grant is for $75,000. We have to match $35,000 of it, and that's $10,000 more than we had to match last year, $25,000. And it may seem strange, but I'm actually excited about that, because one, it just pushes us and tells us we have a different story to tell to potential funders. it's a new story, right? It's not just each year saying 25,000, but 35,000 ups the ante. It increases our story about the need for Iowa to come to the aid of IowaWatch, much like an organization in Oklahoma has done. And it really, if we hit the $35,000 match, we've increased by $10,000 what we would have raised last year with the match. And so those three things I think are pretty good about it. When I was in Fairfield speaking a week ago Friday, I dropped the $35,000 figure, and that's a group that's looking to match something. So it gave them something tangible that they could think about. We are actually we're a little more than $19,000 towards raising the match already. And I was doing some calculation. There's some other funding out there that ought to get us to 20,000, but we're kind of nickel and diming there. My hope is to find somebody who says $35,000. Let's make that happen, and then we have $35,000. We have $19,000, and we can do what Andy did last year, and that is thank people for helping us not only get our grant, but putting us way over the grant. Possibilities for funding. Fundings that's already being counted are Humanities Iowa and SPJ, people like that. I want to go back to the Knight Foundation for a few things and try out with them, and one of them is an innovation grant for libraries that Daniel and I cooked up with Lauren on Thursday night. And we are going to be meeting with the Des Moines Register. David Chivers. Is it Chivers? Thank you. Oh, well, your pain is our gain. And anyway, Dave Stories helped us put together that. Anne-Marie Taylor and I spoke, and we're talking about environmental groups that we can target. We don't have them figured out. University of Northern Iowa still has to determine what to give us for the Science and Journalism project that I can talk about. But anyway, we got the grant, and we have a good challenge in front of us. They're still supporting us, but they're also nudging us that we have to support ourselves.
Somebody knows somebody who can write a $35,000 check. Now's the time.
Yeah. Well, and here's the impact of it is, that'll provide funding for us for a certain amount of time, and I would like to get that grant taken care of by the end of June, because I've calculated, and I'll talk about this later, that we have funding that can get us through September, and but I don't want to be sitting around in July trying to figure out how to fund us for October. We need to be a little more stable than that, and so that's the big goal right now, and it's pretty well a daily thought process for me.
Did Fairfield, and I'm probably jumping ahead. Am I jumping ahead?
No, we can talk about that at any time.
Okay, just
because it's all related.
Did they give you any sort of a time frame?
No.
Okay.
What happened in Fairfield was I spoke to the Noon Rotary Club, and that's the big club where the business people are at, and folks who might be predisposed to support us. Excuse me. And after it ended, I was talking with some folks, and the mayor of the town, who's been a person who's helping us in the town, came up to me and said, I need to talk to you about follow-up for this. And in the meantime, a man who had made the introductions for me to Fairfield initially last year went with me, and he said he was talking with folks, and he thought he had talked to 3 or 4 different people who said we need to figure out a way to fund these people. So those are kind of the fragments that are out there that are pretty common as we're trying to do these dances. So our prayer is the mayor saying I need to follow up with you, and the second person saying 3 to 4 people told him we need to figure out a way to fund these people. So my follow-up is to I sent an email to the mayor and the head of the Rotary Club last Friday, just thanking him and saying, hey, that was great, thanks for the invitation. And my follow-up with the mayor is now, all right, to whom do I need to speak, because we're ready to knock on doors and and do whatever it takes to put ourselves in front of them. The presentation, the thing that appealed to them most, I thought environmental reporting would appeal to them most, but what appealed to them most was our feedback from them and from the questions was the notion of a free press and how to continue to have news reporting when you have dwindling resources in newsrooms and layoffs.
Well, that's great because that's more general, you know.
Well, it is, and you know, I mean, that's a good appeal to have, and and I'm glad they care about journalism. That's always been a harder one to put a return on investment on. You know, it's, you know, the pitch of saying we're good for democracy and we'll be a great country doesn't really translate into a P&L statement.
Although INN is working on that.
Yeah, well, good, and they need to find it. Any questions or thoughts about the grant? I'll have to give them an update in the middle of the year.
I just wrote, you know, if we could push Fairfield for that matching grant, tell
Yep.
them double their money.
Yep.
It'd be a good thing to close on.
You bet. And here's one thing that I talked to Fairfield about last year. I explained to the mayor that we needed matching grants to get that foundation, but what we really need is $75,000 to $100,000 a year so that we can thank the Ethics and Excellence in Journalism Foundation for helping us get started and say that this is a uniquely Iowa endeavor. And, you know, I don't think Fairfield should be our benefactor, but they could be one of many that we could build. And, you know, I've talked about Fairfield a lot because I've spent a year and a half, it'll be 2 years as of June, that I've been trying to work with those folks and get to this point. But we want to expand to other communities as well. And so the person who gave me the introduction to them, and his name's Mike Garvin, and he's an entrepreneur out of North Liberty. I've talked to him about getting the introductions into other towns too that care about things like that we report about, and one is the environment. So Mason City with renewable fuels up there is one, but our next target is Grinnell. So that's the town we want to go to, and we're also trying to work with the college thanks to some things Jim did there to open some doors for us for scholarships. So that's the next town we want to go to.
Just let me see if we could see Steve.
No. I don't see anyone. Other thoughts or? Well, I can talk about the budget forecast. I've calculated it out, and I realized that I hadn't sent you my calculations, and I can do that, the worksheet that I've done. What I've done is taken the money we have in the bank, which is $58,000, money that we have, $66,600 in the bank, commitments that are coming in, and those would be from things such as Humanities Iowa, which is $4,500. AARP still owes us $5,500. The monthly stipend that I get from the Daily Iowan, and added all of those things up, and that's how I come up with we have money in the bank to function through September. If we get the match, then we go into the beginning of next year because we'll have gotten $70,000. And so plus the continued commitments that come from such a places such as the Daily Iowan, but also the banquet and the other fundraisers. So that's where we are with the projections there. It's tight and not as good as when I started here and we had a year in the bank, but that's kind of the realities that we're working with. And I spend pretty well now all of my time working on fundraising. I occasionally work with journalism, and I'm working with a student on a project and a couple of other projects, but I'm not reporting now. I'm just trying to do the fundraising, the business side. And part of that includes Anne Marie Taylor and Dave Story. so I can move into that. Unless any questions about that, that's pretty serious. I understand that. So, I want to be as transparent about it and make sure that people understand that that's the situation. And I view it as my prime task.
So on some of these sister organizations, like the one in Wisconsin and Oklahoma, I think.
Yeah.
Is this following that same path of when they started, they get money, then after a while, then it's a fundraising burden for X number of years, or are we following that path, or is this a path to its own?
Could people hear that question?
Yes.
Okay, and Andy, chime in. I'll start. For many, it is, and there have been organizations that have quit. And so, at a conference that both Andy and I went to in October in Chicago, one of the panels was things I wish I'd have known when I started before I quit. And they were people who had, they'd had their organizations and they folded. Others are in a boat like us, and there is a Knight Foundation report that says that what IowaWatch is involved in is fairly ordinary for nonprofit news organizations. And then there are others who have done really well because they've hit a good business model like MinPost. I mean, we talk about Texas Tribune, and they have a fantastic model, and Jim could talk about that. MinPost has a good model. They just had Min Roast over the weekend. I don't know how much they raised, but they've been raising $250,000 at that, where they have a roast and they bring in people like Garrison Keeler and Al Franken and other Minnesotans like that, and have a gay old time. And I've often joked that all we have in Iowa is Tom Arnold and Stephen Collins. I mean, it's just so it's a little different kind of situation. So anyway, that's what we have going on here. Andy can talk about it. He has a really good, robust operation. He's like ours, but he's done a lot better job of building the business side. Do you want to weigh in a little on that, Andy?
Well, yeah, I agree with everything you just said, Lyle, and I think just for a little context, this is a very difficult period for the state-focused centers. I actually traded some emails on Friday with Sue Cross, the new CEO of the Institute for Nonprofit News. And this is a particular concern of Sue's, that some of the money that was being offered to the state-focused centers, just a year or 2, 3 years ago, seems to be tightening up. And it's for a variety of, because of a variety of factors. It's not that any of our news organizations is failing to fulfill its mission. In fact, it's the contrary. I think all of us are out there doing great public service journalism, and those of us that have training missions are fulfilling those missions very admirably. But what we're seeing is, just to rattle off a few specifics, the Knight Foundation a few years ago had that extra money to give away, money that just materialized because they had some investments that had done well. So IowaWatch and here at the Wisconsin Center for Investigative Journalism, we benefited from that. Got maybe $75,000 a year, or that ballpark, spread over 2 years for general operating support. We also were able to pull in some of the money that has come in, like in our case, from Open Society foundations. Open Society is now less enthusiastic about states than it used to be, and there's a good chance that after this year we may not see that money coming, although Open Society will continue to fund INN very generously. If you look at the Ford Foundation, they dabbled a little bit with state-focused centers several years ago, but that interest currently is really just not there. They haven't put together a coherent plan for funding organizations like ours. Carnegie Corporation in New York also no opening there. A little bit of an opening perhaps at the Joyce Foundation. We were unable to get the Joyce Foundation excited about a multi-state collaboration on climate change that we had talked to Lyle and people at some other centers about. But we'll keep working on Joyce. But Joyce is at least showing some interest in the state of journalism. So Sue Cross is actually open to continuing this discussion. We may end up like putting together a small group of similar centers that have some conversations over a period of time, come up with some ideas, some strategies. At some point, then we may approach the foundations and other potential funders and talk the situation over methodically. So it's a long way of saying that I think we're in a fairly rugged period, not one where there's a crisis exactly, but one where some dollars that used to be there aren't so much there right now. And really, one of the few bright spots out there potentially is the Democracy Fund, the Omidyar money. Tom Glazier is the guy in charge of that. Lyle and I spoke with him briefly in Chicago in October. They're one of the few that's really currently showing an interest in the whole ecosystem from the local up to the state and up to the national level. They're doing a lot of research. It's possible that Omidyar and the Democracy Fund could come through with a lot of money. But we're hustling here too, and I go to sleep thinking about money just like Lyle does, and I wake up thinking about money.
If I can add, the Omidyar thing is actually really good news because for a long time, Pierre Omidyar was completely opposed to supporting nonprofit journalism.
A long way.
So, which is a huge positive change.
Yeah.
I will say, having been through a couple of cycles of this when I was at the Center for Public Integrity, it does go on about a 5-year cycle, and we're in the downside of it. So chances are, we need to really, really love Sue Hale and keep her on board with us. Because EEJF tends to be a particularly loyal funder of of the kind of stuff we do. And as Amy said, a lot of the other ones, like the Knight Foundation thing, their news challenges on libraries. This is the second time they've done libraries. Like their foundation's attention tends to wax and wane in really weird ways, and unfortunately at really synced up times. So they all, just like we all talk to each other, they all talk to each other, and they were excited about nonprofit journalism and all of us getting started, and to a certain extent a lot of them start going like, well, let's declare victory on that one and come up with some new thing. And so it's going to be, we're going to have to be, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, and that's why I'm really trying to focus on Iowa and try to get support there. At this conference where Andy and I saw Tom Glazier, I was on a panel with the head of the Lens and Steve Beatty, and I think the Lens is one of the most successful nonprofits that's out there. And I said, hey, how you doing? And he says, I only have 6 months funding in the bank. And I thought, holy buckets, me too. And I thought, if that's the way it is at the Lens, and then we're all in this soup together. So I think we really need to make the appeal that we need to find Iowa funding and think about the day when these foundations are done, and even the Ethics Nexus and Journalism Foundation. In some of the research that I've done recently for some foundations for funding, I've noticed that they've dissolved. Have you seen that, Andy? Is some of these who have dissolved?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they have life cycles too, right? Yeah, they'll lose interest in that mission and change focus or dissolve entirely. Yeah, absolutely. One thing, just to add real briefly on this issue, I completely agree, Lyle, with your focus of finding people who care about Iowa. So what we're finding here in Wisconsin as we look for people who care about Wisconsin is sometimes the richest people who care about Wisconsin aren't in Wisconsin. We're having some good discussions, for example, with some people in New York right now who have Wisconsin roots. They have a family foundation, and then they know some other wealthy, like UW grads who live in the New York area. So I'm actually getting excited about mining some of those potential areas for support. Going toward the high net worth donors, whether they would give as individuals or give via a family foundation or some other kind of foundation that they influence. There is a lot of money out there from people that could potentially come from people who care about our respective states. And, sometimes they're right here in town, but sometimes we may need to locate them in other states or even in other nations. I mean, we're trying to connect with a UW grad actually in Thailand who's become a media mogul there and is interested in investigative reporting. So, we'll go wherever wherever we can find the dollars, as long as it all fits within our funding parameters.
Yeah. And so Anne-Marie Taylor and Dave Story have enlisted to help us, and Anne had volunteered at Bob's event last October, and Dave, I had been thinking about asking him for a year to help us, but figured he was going to get a job, and he hasn't. And he approached me at the Iowa Newspaper Association convention. So, Anne-Marie, I believe, Daniel's wife, and she helped investigate Wes get started with the business side, and so she is trying to find funding for us that exists. And then Dave is the former publisher of the Gazette and was in charge of the sales department for a while, and so he's a salesperson, and he's a big, tall salesperson, an imposing person. So I've enlisted him as well to help, and he's been out there. He's talked with the Hall Perrine Foundation, for example, which doesn't fund for us. But next is David Chivers, because I've mentioned to him that what I really would like to do is to see newspapers step up and do what the Gazette does. And the Gazette has given us $40,000 in my 4 years at IowaWatch, and we're at least getting creativeness, with Lisa coming up with this idea of getting funding through support in that manner. But we'd really like to try to get the weeklies and dailies, especially who use us regularly, to support us. And the large ones that we need to talk to are Gannett and Lee. So that's what's going on that front.
I can check with Robert and Clara at Investigate West. At least at one point, they had a fairly modest, strongly suggested news schedule for newspapers that used them based on their circulation. They were pretty successful with it. Send them a note and ask how that, whether that's still working.
Yeah, that would be good.
It was sort of, and for like the weekly papers, it was $500 a year or $200 a year or something. And then for the Seattle Times, they were doing this couple $1,000, which was not, which was not a huge amount of money, but when you added a whole bunch of lot, it made a nice little piece, and sort of kept them thinking about, kept Investigate West on the list of things they donated to, and sort of made them have a little bit of a scheme. So let's see how that works out.
Sure, that'd be helpful, and it's always good to go out to funders when we tell them that we make our news available to other media. It's always good to tell funders that they're paying something, because the question becomes, why should I pay for you why should I pay for whatever the newspaper it is or television station to get something free? Why should I be the one who pays for it instead? And so that's always a good thing to have in our argument.
I would offer subscribers. I think looking for opportunities, just looking at events and sponsorships, got a lot of curiosities about that. And
Sure, that'd be helpful. It's always good to go out to funders when tell them that we make our news available to other media. It's always good to tell funders that they're paid something, because the question becomes, why should I pay for you? Can you hang on a second? Incredible delay. I said this. What I'm hearing, I said about something free. Why should I pay for it instead? So that's always a good thing to have in our argument. Wow, that's weird. All right, so Lisa, you were saying Shivers was looking for.
One idea would be to put an ask out to the registered post on the event, and perhaps that might be a revenue stream for you. I don't know for sure. I just sat in a lot of meetings with him. He's very interested in events, very interested in audiences, he's interested in branding. So these are just some things.
Well, we have a story to tell him, and we told it to the previous marketing director, and so we'll tell it again, because we have a more sympathetic audience in the editor's office, and so we have a new chance to tell our story. But the Register actually has been really good. They work with the co-sponsor. They did finally come up with a sponsorship for the banquet last year, and that was because of Emily doing that. And they were a cash sponsor for one of the forums that we did on meth moms. So that was good. But we have other ones too that we're doing. We have other topics that we're developing right now, like free speech on college campuses. That's a public forum that we're doing and something. So we'll make sure that we have a good menu for him, and plus our radio program, which we always thought would be something good to brand, since it's on weekend mornings on AM radio, which is newspaper readers, and the Des Moines Register could tell people what's to go out and get their morning register. So they've had to they had to make decisions. I get it, just like we do, and we'll take another shot at that. Thank you.
I have a events question. So at the morning news, we were pretty successful creating these sort of adult education events. If we as IowaWatch were creating some of those, is that the kind of thing you think the Register would be interested in partnering in? Like in the case of the morning news, they work with the organization to put them together, and then they would split the money.
That's what my mind is.
Yeah.
It is interesting in students.
So if we created,
Audience and revenue.
yeah, so that kind of thing. So something where we would, from education.
Sure. So, I'm really right now.
Yeah.
So just doing some backstory and mock and, again, so much theories and people
Yeah.
get it, and,
Yes.
they see that, they like it, they want
And
more
you guys
of
are
it.
building the infrastructure for that already, so if that was something that might be.
And how would something like that mesh with what you do? Because that sounds like what your breakfast and events are. They're educational and fundraising for CBJ. Would that be in conflict with what you're doing?
Well, I know that there's also.
Or competition? All right. Well, we don't want to hurt our helpers.
The ones that
work well for the morning news, and that might be a good fit for us. Were the sort of the kinds of like the 1 or 2 day, 1 day version of something we would take in the education class on. So, you know, you bring in somebody to talk about Iowa history, or somebody to talk about poetry, you would sort of new hard people. It always seemed to me like you sort of had for a day, and sort of achieve.
And I think the thought is to carve out opportunities for
Yes.
You know, we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's something with Pulitzer, or history of Pulitzer, or the same thing.
So, I mean, I think the carve out.
Yeah.
And for us, part of it's about what our things. You have to do things that are on and a little bit. Stuff in to add, things related to things that we can put stories on. All these other things. Or changing to kind of thing. Register, sell them as part of their program, they sell those for us.
That's what I'm suggesting.
And we put them,
Okay.
we could put things together and split the money with the register. We could do them, you know, that would be probably ideal because then we don't have to be in the business. The register has the ability to sell those events that you put us as and put them on the register, which is the target audience probably.
Yeah, yeah, that's similar to what we tried with the Telegraph Herald earlier this year.
Yeah.
And, while that particular event failed, they still want to do that.
And with the CBJ, with the brain drain.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I think partnering with this director and one of the because you want to be seen as a statewide
Exactly.
entity, and that's one of those who wants to be seen as statewide. So if something were to take place, you know, I'm thinking about like quarterly breakfast panel discussion. Do one in Des Moines, one quarter do one, another quarter do one in Iowa City. Strategy. I think that helps with when you helps you can register.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We some of our big makers, people who draws, I mean,
Don, it sounds like you've been successful with more of the breakfast that day meetings than all day.
Are you?
Uh,
I just looked up on my
well, our biggest event is our economic forecast.
And I didn't bring my cord up with me. If there's a cord for one of these here.
Yeah, and everything we do is kind of different. Like commercial real estate is really good. Portland employees really good. They're one of the influences. We had one last week. We got nine downer on that. Sarah Garville from University College, and then Tom Stewart is almost still 25 people. That was fun. Yeah.
You guys, are you able to hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, this is Andy.
Yeah.
I know Steve and I, maybe others too, haven't been able to really hear for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
The
So-
sound is super muffled and very low in volume.
Yours is the only mic.
Mine's the only mic? All right, so I've got to cart this around like I did the phone.
And I don't have a power charge for
Okay.
Mac.
Yeah, I'm running out of battery power. I'm sucking battery power like no one's business on this.
See, I can try and turn my mic. If you mute your mic, I can turn the
All right.
mic on.
Okay. How we doing? All right.
What's the normal charge?
Our cheapest is $35 for a breakfast, and then it goes up to $5 for the.
So it seems like, using our expertise is a sustainable model that we use for revenue funding.
Yeah, I know newspapers are really trying to get into this space. Daily newspapers are really trying to get into this space. And it's worked for the CBJ. It's worked for a lot of business journals. But you really got to do it well. Andy, Steve, can you guys hear?
Yeah, right now I can hear fine. What about you, Steve? Can you hear Steve? Nod your head yes if you can hear. All right. No. You can't hear.
All right.
It's pretty clear right now. I see it. Mary is saying
You need to mute yours. Yeah.
Can you guys, sorry, but no one's hearing this on the other end, and we're kind of having side conversations. Compounding that, I'm running out of battery power, and operating on assumption would be done by 3. I'm scheduled to be on KXCL radio at 3 o'clock.
It's only 2.
And so I thought, well, just make sure these guys can hear, because we're spending a lot of time working on equipment and sound like that. And I just want to make these guys able to hear. That's all.
I agree. Should I use my computer then?
All right, guys, can you hear this?
yes. I can hear fine. Steve, do you hear that?
Andy?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
So he's talking.
Yeah.
Is it just 2? 2 remote?
No, it should be like 4.
I was gonna say we could just put one on the speakerphone.
Let's see.
Yeah, we can add them.
Like have Steve on one phone and Andy on another phone? Or
Yeah, but we can add like 3 or 4 people on a call, merge them. Which is also an option.
we just
Need all their phone numbers.
Andy's saying something, but I can't. Oh, no, he isn't. He's muted.
Andrew is saying that the sound is very clear.
Andy, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Steve's saying something. He's muted.
Yeah, okay, can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Andrew is saying that his sound is nice and clear.
Yeah, I'm not.
Can you hear me now, Lyle?
All right, let's do this.
We're trying to figure out the tech stuff, you guys.
We could just set up one of the conference calls. I could grab my number and use it. It would just take a few minutes.
Andy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay. All right. We're just gonna conference call people in.
Okay.
So you're 608-333-2333.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we could do it that way, Daniel, or we could just do, through the freeconference.com and have everybody call into a number, whichever way you guys want to do it.
Let's just do it this way.
Let's just do it this way. Yeah.
So you're getting the end segment.
Yeah. Steve's.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay. I'm gonna start adding people.
Okay, cool.
Seven, one, three, one. Yeah.
All right, Steve.
Mobile and no, that's not.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Can I help you?
Yeah, this is the conference call, right?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Mary? Yeah, this is Steve. This is Steve? Oh, okay, just
And Jim.
Hi. Hello. Hi, can I get off of this? Oh, I see you're on the phone. I see you.
Sent you a note.
Okay. There. I'm gonna mute.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you, Andy.
Okay, so
Hey,
I think
everybody.
I think we're on the call, so I think if we stay hang tight here, unless Daniel loses us. I was connected to him earlier. Yes. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, it's been a strange trip. Yeah, there's something to be said for the old-fashioned system. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know why we were having so much trouble. I mean, I do a lot of Hangout conversations. Yeah, right. Yeah, there was something strange about the invitation that we got, where it was trying to put us into an event, like to watch something, as opposed to being a regular Hangout. Right. Yeah, it was a mess. Right.